Live. I am Jonathan Hemingway. I'm joined by Brandon Clay at the Jared Cook Classic here at North Gwinnett High School, Suwanee, Georgia. Glad that you're able to join us here on the SUVtv. Brandon, we got a big-time matchup here between Pebblebrook High School and Lee High School out of Huntsville, Alabama. Set this matchup up for us.
Talent. A lot of it. You know, I sent a tweet out earlier in the day and, obviously talked about myself and you and, Justin Young and Hoop Scene and Marcus Burnett, the leader of the SUVtv movement. And just the opportunity for guys to play on a big stage and earn the words that we write about, not only when we're talking on the microphone, but in the after. And Ty Hudson, who you see hit that left-handed three there, is one of the guys you're going to talk a lot about tonight. And there are 10 guys on the floor right now who have an opportunity to earn words, and all are good enough to get them.
Well said, Brandon. Early three-point lead here by Pebblebrook. You mentioned Ty Hudson hitting that three-point jumper. He's a Clemson signee, a senior. Talk about his game as he brings the ball across half court here.
He's tough. He played kind of a combo role for the Southern Stampede this summer. We'll talk about that young fella here in just a minute. But Hudson is a guy strength, built like a running back. You can see through his shoulders. He's just a big guy. Wait till he gets to college. And if Lee isn't careful, Hudson and Jared Harper, who just hit that three, are going to have them in for a long night, man.
And just like that, 3 threes here, and that's a 9-0 lead. On one hand, it was Ty Hudson delivering the assist to Jared Harper. Harper does the favor right back and gets the assist right there to Hudson. Hudson 6 points here in the early on. Quick timeout by Lee High School.
Well, and Hudson's a guy that, that honestly has been kind of a knock on his game, is the inability to consistently make it. He can make it, but not to the point where every time it leaves his hand, you're putting three up, which is what Jared Harper brings to that roster. After being at Mount Vernon his first 2 years, making the transfer over, Harper wearing number 11 there for Pebblebrook, was a star at the EB All-American camp, has really shown what he can do and is one of the better guards in the state in the 16 class, surrounded by 4 college scholarship guys in the 15 class. Pebblebrook boasts one of the best starting lineups inside the Peach State this season.
I wrote about Pebblebrook on OnTheRadarHoops.com. They'll be at the Thanksgiving Showcase presented by Sean Williams on November 29th. They got a big matchup coming up. But I talked about Harper and Hudson potentially being the toughest backcourt in the state of Georgia. When you talk about athleticism and skill together, obviously a lot of length, a lot of speed on the court here by Pebblebrook, but there are guys that can put the ball in the hoop, and that's unique.
No question. Well, they're going to get a great challenge athletically tonight here with Lee. Lee literally was getting off the bus. We were sitting up there with Zach Smith at halftime of that last game, and he was calling like, hey, you guys okay? Obviously a long trip over from Huntsville, so just getting out of the car. Hudson with another three, and if they're not careful, the lead is going to be so big that it's going to be hard to get back. I really like system for those guys. Number 22 in the black, one of the better unsigned seniors in the region. Had the opportunity to watch him during a spring tournament. Good athlete on the wing, brings a lot to the table. Definitely a guy that can slash. Florida Atlantic, Mercer, Tennessee Tech, Chattanooga. So Lee's got some players that can go. Tough win last night for them over Hazel Green. Ethan Stair, who's committed to Mercer, played with system during the course of the summer. And then a long ride over from Huntsville. That's tough when you line up against Pebblebrook.
Little horns action, initiating the offense right here. Dribble drive, and the ball is just being passed. And I tell you what, Pebblebrook right now is playing some great basketball. You see the full court pressure, although they do get called with that foul right here. They are forcing turnovers. We haven't even talked about the big man inside for Pebblebrook. Number 34 there in white, that's Derek Ogigi, who had recently signed to play with Mark Fox in the University of Georgia. He got that block shot just a moment ago. Haven't really even touched upon his game, but to finish this thought of how well Pebblebrook is playing, here's Ogigi with the rebound.
That's a mean outlet pass.
And
that is a mean outlet pass.
And number 2 with the dunk, that's Trey Mitchell. They are doing it in all facets right here. 16-0. The athleticism, the rebound, and the shot blocking, and then the offensive execution. And then you throw on top of that, they're hitting three-pointers. Boy, this is an impressive start.
Well, let me talk about Trey Mitchell for a second. I had the opportunity to watch him during EYBL play this travel season up in Minneapolis. And I do want to note that all 5 of the young men right now wearing white play for the Southern Stampede program. So they're all really familiar with their games. It's not even like a normal high school team where you're coming back and 2 or 3 guys played for one team and 2 or 3 played for another. You know, all 5 played for the same program. So along with Prince Ali going to UCLA and some other really quality pieces, there's a basket for Lee, and you're going to see more and more of that during the course of the game. That's a big shot. They're already getting bench production, and the game just started.
That was DeAndre Rainey with that jumper, but quickly back the other direction is Trey Mitchell. Trey Mitchell, a senior, really got to talk about him as being one of the top wings in the state of Georgia that is unsigned, you know, going, you know, past the signing period. Those college coaches looking for athleticism and length on the wing. Mitchell's definitely going to bring that.
Well, and especially if he can shoot that 15-footer that he just hit. You know, we know that he does that really well and at a really high level. Long lean, you see him come down. Look, he's grimacing a little bit, might have pulled some kind of hobbling over there. But we know that he does that really well. Can he stick that mid-range jumper? Because if he can now, when Harper creates the penetration, now you got the drive and kick option. You got some different things. But, I mean, right now, Pebblebrook is in full go mode as it's 22-2. 3:48 left in the first period, John. Goodness gracious, my friend.
Brandon, the only comment that I have right now is wow. You know, normally we would take a break through the timeout and say, hey, guys, you know, we'll be back in a moment. But boy, there's a lot to be impressed with this Pebblebrook team and, you know, just how well they are playing, the cohesion that is there. Now, you touched upon the fact that they all did play together, you know, on the Southern Stampede, you know, through the EYBL circuit. And I would have to say that cohesion was really built, you know, during July and, you know, even during the spring, to where now they come in during the high school season and they're just clicking on all cylinders.
Well, and Harper in a lot of ways I think is the missing piece, you know, the missing links per se. You know, the other 4 were there last year. Now you throw Harper into that mix from Mount Vernon Presbyterian. You know, he wanted the opportunity, obviously, to be able to play at a higher level of competition during the school season. He's got that. Those guys, you know, wanted another guard that could help them go and get buckets in. They've got that. So it's a win-win for everybody. Harper taking AP classes as well at Pebblebrook right now. Already sitting on offers from schools like Ole Miss, Old Dominion, Richmond. He's done a really good job in the recruiting process getting ahead, just a junior.
Brandon, he was just fantastic at our All-American camp. You know, you look at a kid like that and you say, well, you know, he's a little small. You know, he doesn't have the athleticism, you know, that maybe other guards. You know, you can put all of that, you know, aside because of the kid can flat out play. Yep. You know, he can hit the jumper behind the ball screen. He can make plays in the lane. He can distribute. He's really just a heady kid. You know, I came away from that weekend with Jared Harper knowing that he knows the game. You know, when we were, you know, installing our camp offense, he was looking me directly in the eye. He understood what we wanted to get, and he went out in gameplay and executed that, which is saying something from such a high-level player such as himself.
No question. Well, he went toe-to-toe with Bryce Moore, who signed with Western Michigan in the early signing period. Went toe-to-toe with DeMarcus Simons, who just committed to Mississippi State. So if he's able to go toe-to-toe with those guys, that means that he has the same caliber of play, if not even higher than they do. So you're seeing it right now, just an overwhelming amount of talent on the floor and all of the right types of pieces, whether it's shooters and Hudson and Harper. You've got wings and Murphy and Mitchell, and then you've got the big boy Derek on the inside, man in the middle holding the fort down.
That was a layup by Pebblebrook just a moment ago. Damari Alexander, a 6-foot senior, giving Pebblebrook a 24-2 lead here. Still just first quarter of action.
Well, and that's a guy that when you start to talk about luxuries, as you see the great post feed there from Alexander, that's a guy now that comes off the bench for you. You know, so heaven forbid there's foul trouble or an ankle roll on a night, you've got a guy like Alexander inserted in the starting lineup. For most teams, he's their first or second guard.
Good drive there by Lee High School. That was number 32, Tracy Burnett. Can't
great
get it to go.
Great pass. And there's that athleticism we talked about with system there to start the broadcast. And a reason why some of those different schools are involved with this recruiting. Great dribble drive there to create some space, pull the defense with them by Rainey, and then the nice drop-off for Sissom to complete the play.
You know, you start to look at this Lee High School squad, and they got some players. You know, They just stepped off the bus. They had a long car ride from, or a bus ride, I should say, from Huntsville. Maybe it's going to take them a quarter or two to get into it. But, hey, if they can start getting some plays going, this isn't going to be a 30 spot by any means.
No question. One, I think it's important. I know I mentioned the Hazel Green game last night. You just there. Like, that's a big game. My parents lived in the Huntsville area for some years. I understand how big Lee and Hazel Green and some of those different rivalries are. Bob Jones and Sparkman, even up into Madison and Harvest, Alabama, some of those different suburbs there of Huntsville. Anytime those people square off, man, that's a battle. So to try to come back this early in the season, back to back and play that kind of battle game and then come against a team like Pebblebrook, who very well could be a top 25 team in the country before all is said and done, that's a hard challenge.
Ball's going to go out of bounds. It's going to stay with Pebblebrook. Substitution for Lee, number 3, Ashton Ray, senior, checking into the game here. And also, well, number 0 is not going to get into the game, but Pebblebrook will inbound right here. A little matchup zone defense here by Lee High School.
And I like Wiley sitting here at the table getting ready to check in. And I really liked his length. He started the game off, as did Ray. Obviously, in trying to push some buttons, they made a couple of early substitutions. Now getting the starters back on the floor, see if they can get a little continuity, a little flow going.
Drive there by number 2, Mitchell. Can't get it to go. Here's Lee with it. Cross-court pass, jumper on the way, and good. Number 15, DeMonte Douglas. Douglas, a sophomore. Nice jumper there. There's Mitchell pushing the action the other direction.
Well, and here it is. Now they're starting to get their sea legs underneath them, per se, John. See if they can get another bucket here in transition.
Here's an open jumper on the way, and that's going to be off the mark. Rebound here by number 3. That's Alexander. Pebblebrook will control. Alexander will fire one up, and it will be good. 2-7.
Once again, when that guy is coming off the bench for you, man, you are in really good shape as a coach. When you're able to look down, come on, Alexander, let's go, man. You really have done a great job, and you got real talent on your roster. The type of talent that can help you win a state title when all is said and done in March.
Drive on the way, not going to be there. Rebound, controlled by Lee. That's number 15, Douglas once again, and he's going to draw the foul. Going to get an opportunity to shoot 2. Head coach George Washington really has to feel good about himself and the way his team is playing early on. You talk about these early season challenges, that you want to take. And, some coaches, maybe you've got a young squad, or maybe you just don't have the talent. Maybe you want to go and find a Thanksgiving, tournament or showcase where you can go and get some easy wins. If you've got a squad like Pebblebrook, you want to come to the Jared Cook Classic and play some of the top talent, not only in Georgia, but around the region.
Unfortunately, I was on the former side of that coin when we were always looking for a win when I was coaching. There were no Jared Cook Classics for us, my friend.
Under 3 seconds to go, pitch ahead on the way
That
at the buzzer.
The quarter.
That's number 14, Preston Fulton. Going to put an exclamation point on this 3-8. After one quarter, we're here on the SUVtv at the Jared Cook Classic. We'll take a break and be back in a moment. School out of Huntsville, Alabama. Big quarter here by Pebblebrook. And on the way to start us, three-pointer not going to be there by Hudson. Rebound challenge there by Derek Ojiji, and he will get called for the push in the back on that offensive rebound attempt. Lee coming back the other direction, and good look right there. Just can't get it to fall there by Burnett. And
I'll tell you what, talking about Tracy Burnett there with the nice move, I mean, that guy's a freshman, you know, from a physical frame standpoint and all that. That guy's a freshman, man. So you see him attack the rim, and even though he doesn't convert, man, it just gives you a little taste of what's to come here.
No doubt. And in many ways, Lee, you know, is still trying to put it all together, you know, in early season form. And we've talked about Pebblebrook, you know, have been
they are
playing.
In late season form.
Yes, late season form. And good jumper there on the way there by Fulton. A second three-pointer by Fulton now, giving Pebblebrook a 33-8 lead. Good finish there in the lane by 22 Sissom.
Well, Sissom showing you, like I said, we talked about that athleticism on the catch and finish with the flush. But nice little change of sides there. You know, we just does some good things. He can move, he can run the floor. You see why people are excited about him, but goodness, man. I mean, everywhere you look, and then now we're talking about kids like Fulton, you know, who didn't play with that Stampede group. I mean, Alexander, Fulton, you really have a lot of different weapons on this group, man. And they're so loaded that it's hard to pick your poison. He's going to take this, he is. He took it from 25 feet.
He was really feeling good about that one, and why not? He's hit 3 of them already. Here's Sissom with it. He'll kick it out. Jumper not there, and it's going to hit the court up above, and Pebblebrook will get it back. You know, that's one of those quick shots that we often talk about in coaching where, hey, you know, let's try to feed off, trying to build some momentum, to try to cut into this. Really liking Harper here for Pebblebrook, number 11 in white, just his floor generalship, and this making the extra pass has really become contagious with this Pebblebrook team. You saw Hudson make the extra pass. He had a look at 3, but he saw Fulton in the corner, a couple of possessions back. Just making that extra pass has been so key and critical for them.
No question. When you watch him and you get a feel for him, you know, from a spring event we saw all the way through, little in on that. Harper hits the 3, just as you draw. In a lot of sitting in this gym right now is 39-10. If you're not careful, you take for granted what Pebblebrook has done through the first 10 minutes of this game, how well they played, how hard they played, and their ability to knock down the open shot.
I think you got to give a lot of credit to Coach Washington and his staff getting these guys prepared, because good shooting, obviously you have to have good shooters, but you know, let's face it, if you don't have the execution to go along with that, you know, you'll end up with good shooters taking bad shots. Nice finish underneath there by Sissom off the baseline out of bounds. And you saw it there with Harper talking about the execution for Pebblebrook off the baseline out of bounds. Simple little step in, you know, Harper inbounds it, but gets the good screen there by the Georgia signee, Derek Ojiji, and gets the open 3 there from the corner. Little things like that, you know, normally you might think, you know, a talented team might take for granted. And quite honestly, I know this is a big comparison right here, but the last time that I saw a high school team with this amount of talent execute at this high level was Eddie Martin's Norcross teams.
Fair. No, I think that's a great comparison in terms of what the expectation and the bar is in Mableton. I don't think the folks in Mableton feel any differently than you do right now. Anything less than, you know, a state championship appearance for a group like this, it's not what they came here for. You know, all those folks came here to be the best, man. They didn't come here to be the second best, John.
And when you start to talk about all of this talent, you know, you might think, well, there's going to be some egos, some guys, you know, wanting, you know, bigger roles, but it really appears, at least early on, that these guys have accepted who they are and what their role is on the team.
Well, and winning cures everything. You know, like I know, as long as you're able to come out, have the type of success you want, be able to come out with the victories you're supposed to get, and have nights like this, you're able to get everybody shots, man. When it's 39-12 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter, you're able to play everybody. You're able to get everybody good looks. Everybody feels good. You know, it's when you go on that 3 or 4 game slide or 3 or 4 game stretch where you're not playing so well in mid-January, late January, when practice is long and people are nicked up and the flus hit your team and all those different things that make life really hard. Right now, though, everything is clicking on all cylinders, and they look good. You're right. Coach Washington has done a great job of preparing them for this early season test, and they've passed them with flying colors so far.
Second free throw not there. Battled for it. Lee's going to come up with a deflection there on the interior by Hudson. Harper's going to get it. He'll fire it from deep range. Good. 42-13, Pebblebrook on top. Here's Lee bringing it back the other direction. Pull-up jumper in transition. Not there by Douglas, but the rebound put back there by Wiley.
Well, and I talked about he was set to check in. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's the freshman. Yeah, that's the freshman. Young Burnett, what a great play right there. For him to be able to go back and get that thing contested. I mean, this is the guy that's going to play basketball in the ACC next year. 3 years your senior, and it doesn't even matter. You're going to get it. That was a heck of a play there. So was that. Everything but the finish. Great kick there, though, to Harper. We talk about the unselfishness. That was an example there, John.
Transition coming back the other direction. Pebblebrook is going to get called for the foul. It's going to get called on Hudson. Lee will have the basketball baseline out of bounds. Checking in for Lee High School, Brandon Powell, sophomore. Pebblebrook in a 2-3.
And they're so long. I mean, you look at them put their arms out, and it's going to be hard to really be able to penetrate that zone, and that's with Derek sitting on the bench right now.
Well, when you got a guy like Kevin Murph on the interior, you know, he's a very versatile defender. We've talked a lot about him, you know, in the on the radar hoops, you know, .com, you know, world. He's a nice block right there. Once again, the freshman.
Man, Burnett's tough, and his just ability, he gets off the floor quick. You know, a lot of the same things that we like about Sissom are the things early on that I like in this first evaluation of Burnett in his game.
Although it's been a very rough start here for Lee High School, there are some bright spots, at least individually. You talk about Burnett, Wiley, even Sissom. You know, Coach Brown is going to be able to, he's got some pieces to work with for sure when he goes back home.
He's not playing Pebblebrook every night. That also helps, man. There are going to be a lot of people, I think, that are in much worse situations than this come region play here when Pebblebrook lines up with some of those folks over there on the I-75 corridor, man. Nice.
Cross screen underneath. Hudson sets the screen and then comes wide open. 44-15, Pebblebrook on top. Full court pressure here by Pebblebrook. Lee is going to control it. Gets it underneath, and Burnett is going to draw the foul and an opportunity at a three-point play.
Good call there. Hudson actually had his feet set and then jumped to the side to try to get him away. I like the body control there by Burnett. Once again, you talked about highlighting some of the bright spots here in what has been a sluggish first start for Lee, first half, excuse me. And Burnett definitely stands as one of the bright stars here early in this one.
Free throw on the way, not there. Going to be controlled by Pebblebrook. Here's Hudson with it in transition. Gets a little too deep. Lee away with it. This is number 1, Rainey with it.
Oh, nice.
He'll drive, splits the defense, can't get it to go.
And Lee has had multiple opportunities like that tonight that just have not fallen right there around the rim, and you need those to fall. You know, this is one of those flawless games where you have to play darn near flawless to give yourself a chance to win. They just haven't been able to do that so far.
Travel right there, going to get called on Malik Burnett. Pebblebrook going to come back with the ball. Checking in for Lee is number 30, Kendrick Ashby. And also Evan Wiley going to check back into the game. Checking in for Pebblebrook, new face here for us, number 32, Chris Nelson. 5'11" senior, going to get some action here. Under 3 minutes to play. 46-17, Pebblebrook on top. Harper directing the offense here. Murph posting up inside. They're going to get it back out to Harper.
He did not just, yes, he did.
He did.
Goodness gracious, man.
Step back jumper. A little bit off balance. This kid is quite a talent, isn't he, Brandon?
He can make every single throw, period. He makes every single throw.
Number 11, Harper, that's his second personal.
Looking at it right here on our instant replay there. Marcus Burnett bringing this up right there. You see the step back and even gets the contact, falls to the floor.
Well, then, you know, where else, John, can you get, from a high school game perspective, the ability to watch an instant replay inside of your broadcast? But it's why Marcus Burnett and his team with the SUVtv here in this game presented by PeachStateBasketball.com, it's why they're the industry leaders. He's always on the cutting edge of what's next. Awesome technology.
Here's Pebblebrook with it, running this 1-4 high set. Gonna get it over here on the wing. Wing ball screen, kicks it out to Murph. Murph will set the ball screen now, but a little too much movement right there. Too much contact. They'll get called for the offensive foul. Checking back in for Lee High School. Malik Burnett, 2017 prospect. Here's Lee High School with it. Number 3, Ray with the basketball. 2-3 zone here by Pebblebrook. Lee's going to try to initiate the offense. Baseline cutter, double screen along the baseline. And they're going to get Lee with a moving screen. Well, a moving screen on one end is a moving screen on the other end.
That doesn't happen very often, man. Where back-to-back plays, you get moving screen calls, man.
It was a good executed play there by Lee, and they had a good look at 3. You hate to see that happen, but hey, foul is a foul. Turnover here by Pebblebrook, coming back the other direction, and a lob, and that's number 30, Kendrick Ashby with the finish.
That's a good play there by Ashby, man. You know, you're continuing to make those hustle plays. As you see Burnett come across the lane again, get another challenge, another shot block there. You know, we talked about Lee having good pieces, and the thing that I like the coach has been able to do here is keep these guys playing hard. You know, the execution and the shots are not falling. I think we can all agree on that. But at no point in time in the first 15 minutes of this game have I looked at the floor and thought to myself, man, Lee's just throwing in the towel. Lee's giving up. It hasn't been that. Unfortunately for them, it's just been a situation where they have not been able to make enough conversions and then get enough stops on the other end to keep Pebblebrook from running this thing up. But, you know, to still have those guys playing says a lot about what coach does every day with them in the lab.
Hayes is going to track down the defensive rebound here. Press off a miss by Pebblebrook. Nice catch there in transition by number 14, Brandon Powell, the sophomore, and he'll get the finish, 50-21. Under a minute left here in the first half. Here's Trey Mitchell with the basketball. He'll kick it out. Now Murph has it. Back to Mitchell. Mitchell down the lane. Laying no good, and Ashby comes down with the rebound. Another press trying to speed the tip. Malik Burnett.
That was smooth. Looked good coming out of his hand. Nice right-handed shooter there. Burnett and Burnett. Nice little two-man tandem in the future for Lee. 1 in 10th, 1 in 9th.
Trey Mitchell quickly back the other direction. He'll get the layup there on the other end.
He's so good in transition, John. Great pass there by Ashby. We were talking about the layoff a minute ago. Comes back with another one. He's been really productive with the game. Body a little different, but his game reminds me a lot of Banks County Jr. Kendrick Simmons, an EBA guy.
Preston Fulton with that lay-in on the other end. Pebblebrook will get it one last opportunity, but it won't go. 52-26 going into halftime. Pebblebrook up right here on Lee High School. Real quickly, Brandon, quick rundown on the first half.
Harper, Hudson, Mitchell, Derek, Murph, Fulton, Alexander. Pebblebrook's just been too much for him, and not only have they been too much personnel-wise, but they've converted shots at a high rate. You know, you talk about Aaron Rodgers and his preciseness, his ability to make you have to play a flawless game to be able to beat him. Every now and then he's going to have a day where he has 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But more often than not, it's 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, and that's what this day has been for Pebblebrook so far.
We'll leave it with that. Here on the SUVtv, this is the Jared Cook Classic coming to you live on the SUVtv. We'll take a break and be back with you for second half action.
Crossover intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time. We break down and stat your game film for you and act as your video coordinator by giving you searchable clips, advanced statistics, shot charts, and a lot of other great info that you can access from any PC or through our iPad application. Just upload your video through the Crossover website, and 24 hours later, your film will be completely indexed and tagged. Each play will become its own video clip, allowing you to search the footage for anything you'd like. Here we'll take a look at all 3-pointers that were made in the fourth quarter. All of your offensive and defensive sets can also be tagged, so you can view the appropriate clips and determine which play. Crossover intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time. We break down and stat your game film for you and act as your video coordinator by giving you searchable clips, advanced statistics, shot charts, and a lot of other great info that you can access from any PC or through our iPad application. Just upload your video through the Crossover website, and 24 hours later, your film will be completely indexed and tagged. Each play will become its own video clip, allowing you to search the footage for anything you'd like. Here we'll take a look at all 3-pointers that were made in the fourth quarter. All of your offensive and defensive sets can also be tagged, so you can view the appropriate clips and determine which plays are achieving the best results. You can add any clip to a playlist or highlight reel and share everything with your players or assistant coaches. Crossover will also provide you with all of the numbers from each game, including complete player stats for both teams and advanced metrics like these. Crossover intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time. We break down and stat your game film for you and act as your video coordinator by giving you searchable clips, advanced statistics, shot charts, and a lot of other great info that you can access from any PC or through our iPad application. Just upload your video through the Crossover website, and 24 hours later, your film will be completely indexed and tagged. Each play will become its own video clip, allowing you to search the footage for anything you'd like. Here we'll take a look at all 3-pointers that were made in the fourth quarter. All of your offensive and defensive sets can also be tagged, so you can view the appropriate clips and determine which plays are achieving the best results. You can add any clip to a playlist or highlight reel and share everything with your players or assistant coaches. Crossover will also provide you with all of the numbers from each game, including complete player stats for both teams and advanced metrics like these. We even take the shooting numbers a step further with an interactive shot chart that lets you visualize the data. Filter by player, quarter, makes or misses, and click on any shot to watch the corresponding video. Crossover intelligence will keep you from spending hours in the film room and get you back to actually coaching. Together, we can turn smarter video into more wins for your team. That's the Crossover effect. Crossover intelligence for basketball can save you hours of time.
And welcome back here to North Gwinnett High School as we're bringing you live Jared Cook Classic coverage here on SUVtv. I want to definitely thank some of the sponsors that made this event as well as the broadcast possible, including Crossover, the Gwinnett Daily Post, more specifically over there at the Daily Post, Gwinnett Prep Sports, who's also housing some of the webcasts from this week's event, and last but not least, CBA Sports, your sports construction specialist. We'll be back within the next 20 seconds to bring you the second half here live on SUVtv. And welcome back here. We're ready to get second half action started. I'm Marcus Burnett, joined by Jonathan Hemingway as well as Brandon Clay. We appreciate you joining us here on SUVtv for the Jared Cook Classic as Pebblebrook leads by double digits in this one. Double digits to say the least, Hemi.
Yeah, a little bit more than just double digits. Pebblebrook has just been tremendous in the first half of this game. We talked about it, Brandon Clay and I, in the first half. Their athleticism, their execution, talented. You know, you've got a starting lineup just full of Division I, not only signees, but prospects overall. One of the better first halves that I've watched in a high school game in a long time.
As it's a daunting task ahead of Lee here in this second half as they try to get back into this game. But again, it's another one of those things. It's early season. You want to try to come back and get this one, but even if you don't, at the end of the day, you can't roll over.
Well, good test right here for Lee High School. You know, Coach Greg Brown bringing his kids over from Huntsville, Alabama, to be able to play against not only one of the better teams in the state of Georgia, but quite possibly one of the teams, top teams in the nation, you know, at that matter. Great backcourt in Harper and Hudson, but he's got some young, talented prospects that they really need to see this. They need to be able to bump heads against, you know, some of the best, players, you know, in the state of Georgia. When you start talking about Sissom, Burnett, and some of those other players, they need to see where the bar is so that they can raise their level of play, you know, not only next week, but for the rest of the season.
Brandon, touch on not only, the Pebblebrook team that we see this season, but talk about last season and the segue it provided to the slate that they'll play this year and the type of expectations that they have.
Well, I know John and I mentioned a little bit in the first half of the game, the fact they had so many pieces last year, were able to make a run. And this was a team that was able to compete against anybody in the state last year, Marcus. And, now adding Harper gives them, honestly, an elite 100 caliber guard. So now you've got Hudson, who is that in the 15 class. Definitely is going to be a guy, that you'll see inside of the Elite 150 rankings expansion for us, BrandonClayScouting.com in the springtime. And then you've got Harper alongside him. That's as good as almost any backcourt in the country, not just the state. So now if George Washington and his staff are able to go, they're able to load up, play a national schedule. They'll play Berkmar and Sean Williams event on the 29th. Oh, my gosh! Mark Fox is going to like that one on Instant Replay, Marcus. January 24th, they'll play DeMatha at the Hilton Invitational. Norcross will have that one here on the SUVtv, presented by PeachStateBasketball.com. And then they'll play Mount Bird in Charlotte on January the 16th. So they're going to have an opportunity with the DeMatha game and the Mount Bird game to stake their claim to arguably a top 10 spot in the country, Marcus. So the deck is set, largely off of last year's play with the additional Harper, and now we'll see what it plays out like.
It's a 26-56 ball game, and for those that might be joining us, obviously you see it's a lopsided score, but Hemi, what's your best nutshell summary of why the game started off so ugly early?
Well, I don't know that I would call it ugly. From a Pebblebrook standpoint, it was quite pretty. Sorry, Lee High School fans, and a nice dunk there by Mitchell. But Pebblebrook really shot the basketball well. Hudson and Harper each with three-point buckets each. And then Mitchell, with the fast break finishes as he just finished another one, come up a little bit hobbled off of that one. But their execution, it's very rare that you see an athletic team that is able to create turnovers with full court pressure, but can also slow the game down, run a half-court set multiple screens, and make the extra pass and be able to knock down open shots. That's exactly what Pebblebrook did in the first half.
It's 60-26. Three-pointer on the way. It's off the mark. Strong rebound by Murph. He led the region in rebounding last year, picking up where he left off.
Well, he's such a versatile guy, Marcus. You see how many guys can lead a region in rebounding, come down on the very next offensive possession, catch, rip, go, two bounce, pull up, and almost hit the 15-footer. He does so many different things, and it's interesting because you look at him, and he's one of those guys that wouldn't pass the airport test if you just saw him, but he gets it done, and so does that guy.
Harper having a big first game here for Pebblebrook. I mean, not that we didn't see it coming, but it's just every time that you watch this guy play, he's just so steady, so calm, and he just keeps a level head about himself. You really got to be impressed with the way Jared Harper, number 11 in white, plays.
It was great seeing, as far as the SUVtv back-end system and footage, I'm sure it's hard for it to differentiate which event from which. It seems like
great block.
Harper's always flashing stuff. That was number 30 there on that one.
Yeah, that was Kendrick Ashby. He had a big first half. I say big. He made several very nice plays with the pass and also just hustling in transition. Definitely a kid that we'll put in our database, the OTRHoopsReport.com, Brandon, when we go back and enter notes after this event.
Well, and he's going to get that high energy tab. That's a guy that is able to make plays getting downhill into the lane. But you see the block there, not giving up on the play. I mean, at this point, you're down almost 40 points. Well, now you're down 40 points and still making plays on the ball in transition, trying to get blocks and contest it. It's just not much to say other than it was impressive play there by Ashby, given the circumstances of this game.
Jared Harper with another three.
I mean, yeah. You know what? It never gets old, though. I say that, and I like that nice little flash there for Sissom. But Harper's skill set, I talked about him being able to make all the throws and just never plays fast. You see him with the drift kick there to the corner. Look at the ball movement. Look at the ball movement. That's special stuff. But let's talk about Sissom. If he can hit that 15-footer that he just took, you start to project to the next level where guys can be projected to play. And the way that we talked about Hudson early in the game, John, not showing himself as a consistent three-point shooter in past evaluations, same thing with Sissom. He hadn't shown himself to be a consistent mid-range knockdown shooter. If that's something that he can add to his game with his athleticism, now you can really project him to play either forward spot for different stretches of time, whereas right now he probably projects more as a fourth ball handler because of the skill set and the development of where he is right now. But he's got some stuff, as you see him with the nice double counter there. He has some tools to work with.
Lee Generals with the ball, just under 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to play here in the third quarter. Appreciate you joining us here on SUVtv, especially for our Gwinnett Daily Post members as well.
I think Sissom, he had the earbud in. He just listened to your breakdown right there, Brandon.
Well, and he's got it. You know, you saw him take a couple in the first half. They didn't go, and this is going to go. That's going to go. It's always nice before the guy ever lets the basketball go. You can say, now that's a shooter. When that guy catches the basketball, and I tell you that's going to go, and it goes down, that is a shooter. As Hudson's got blood coming from his nose, they're going to get that taken care of. But it just – Harper's so impressive, man. You know, I think one of the things that there's a young lady out at the University of Washington named Kelsey Plum from San Diego, California, John. And I watched her score 45 in a game last Friday night, 15 for 27 from the field, 12 for 12 from the line, 5 assists to go along with it. She taught me a lot. We had her in the top 30 in her class. She was a McDonald's All-American, fine. We should have had her even higher. You know why? Because she always produced. And so I think with a kid like Harper now, that's the life lesson in this job that I take away. It is a guy like Harper, he's too small, he's too this. Well, y'all show me 20 guys that produce at the rate at which he produces, and I'll rank him under those guys. Harper only produces. That's all he does. I don't care if he's 5'10", 6'10", 4'10", he makes plays.
As he has the vision to hit Derek in transition.
That's what he does.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
That's what he does.
He fills the stat sheet, whether it's three-point buckets,
Good shot
whether
there.
it's assists, rebounds, whatever it is. He just produces, yes.
And you guys have touched on it, you know, the power that Pebblebrook had last year, the pieces, and how they bring a lot of those pieces back. Harper, that lone piece that was not there last year, a possible difference maker in that close Final Four loss to a talented Willard team last year.
Right.
Difference between going to a state championship and finishing where they finished, which still wasn't pretty bad for George Washington's squad.
Well, when you talk about games like that, you need bullets in the gun, so to speak, and just having another guy that can put up double-figure, point totals is big. But now you bring in not only a guy that can give you 10 to 15 tonight, but he could give you 15 to 20, but he can also give you 6 to 8 assists. And he's also going to make, 4 or 5 other plays that don't show up on the stat sheet that will help you win games. He is definitely one of those, in fantasy football terms, RB1,
No question.
wide receiver 1.
Hold on. Justin Forsett from the Baltimore Ravens, Randall Cobb from the Green Bay Packers, Jordy Nelson, you name it. None of those guys are physically imposing guys. Heck, Forsett was behind Ray Rice and Bernard Pierce to start the season, but his production level week in and week out, he winds up as the RB1 there for Baltimore. Same with Cobb and Nelson. After week 2, people had Green Bay. They were going to go 0-16. So you look at guys like Harper, and I think you hit it on the head, John. He has 15 and 6 in a game like that last year, not to mention what he'll do this year.
Fellas, great examples, but I lost my last fantasy week because I started a quarterback that didn't play. So we're gonna transition away from the fantasy gridiron back to the basketball game.
Hey, fortunately for somebody in our league, Marcus, that was in ours, man. Thanks, brother.
Shout out to that Kyle Moore PSB. I'm sure he's in the gym watching some basketball as we speak.
That's hilarious.
With a grin on his face. But, guys, I want to talk about Derek Ogigi, the Georgia signee. Notice his just activity, in the lane. He's blocking shots. He's rebounding. He's having a big game here today. May not be, that guy that you can just dump it, inside to, that primary post scorer. But I've really been impressed with his progression as a player in the past 12 months.
Man, went up to go get it, ball slipped through his hands, and one of the things that I actually had, and one of the cool things about his recruiting, Memphis, Ole Miss, Murray State were all involved there before he chose Georgia. He's just a solid guy who I think in time, depending on how you want to play it, I think he could play as an interior guy. He's a guy who will rebound in area. He's always going to bring an activity level, though he's not a hyperactive guy like a system per se. He's going to always be around the rim. He's going to always be in the mix. He picks up his fourth foul here, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. He's always around the play somewhere.
And what I want to point out here is you're talking about, a 6'8", 6'9" center, and he's at the top of the press right here. You see him closing out, chopping the feet. How many big kids in America can really do that and do it well?
Not many.
Making this you mentioned Kelsey Plum, kind of cross-referencing male prospects to, female prospects. Vicki Harris, Parkview signed to play at Rutgers. A lot of similar characteristics there.
Well, and we talked about Harris being one of the best rebounders in the class. As you see Derek go get that rebound to close out the half. So at the end of the day, man, basketball just being basketball. Unfortunately, so far for Lee, the basketball hasn't been as good as it was for them last night in their win over Hazel Green. But a lot of good takeaways early season and plenty of SUVtv footage for all, man.
Speaking of Derek Obeidi, we're going to end the third quarter with a little replay of some of what he might take down to Athens moving forward as we see him get behind the defense. Nice assist there by Jared Harper. You're watching the Jared Cook Classic here on SUVtv. Appreciate you joining us. We'll be here with the fourth quarter after these messages. And welcome back here to the action. Again, you're watching the 2014 Jared Cook Classic. Before we start the fourth quarter, I want to make sure that you follow the Gwinnett Daily Post Sports Department on Twitter. Keep up with all the latest happenings during the week at GDP Sports.
I, for one, follow GDP Sports. They always coming through North Gwinnett. They've always done a great job covering everything in this county, every sport. It's an awesome follow. Make sure to do it.
Yeah. What I appreciate the Daily Post, nice training bucket. Only the best team in the region. They're going to cover the Norcrosses and the North Gwinnett's of the world, but also, the team will succeed in those programs.
Multiple teams that I was in the program, the GDP and Will Hammock treated us exactly the same as they did in the road to Norcross, and I'm grateful for that.
Nice shot off the window there. I think that was Nelson for Pebblebrook.
That was a good look there by System. I want to point out just a minute ago, kind of got lost in the shuffle there. Want to make sure we talked about GDP. Malik Burnett with the nice finish, the and one there. I think both him and Tracy Burnett have been bright spots. I talked about them being a sophomore and freshman respectively. Definitely want to make sure that we mention them going forward. I think that those are going to be two kids you're going to see more of for Lee, even on the summer circuit next summer, as we did with System this past summer.
That was Malcolm Caesar right there with a nice post finish underneath. If I'm not mistaken, good-looking athlete right here. Doesn't get that defensive rebound, but there's plenty of high school teams out there that would love to have that kid in your starting lineup, and he's in the second five. That just demonstrates really the depth that Coach Washington has with
that
this
real
group.
Kentucky feel, man. White platoon, red platoon. Oh, good move. Right on cue, Johnny. Once again, man, he had you connected, man. He was listening. These guys are listening to the broadcast during the game.
Oh! Ashby really coming out here to play, isn't he?
He is. Well, he's just playing so hard. You see him in the mix there. Misses that, gets right back in the play, gets the offensive rebound, shaking the head at himself. But you have to applaud his effort. I mean, it's 8-6 right now. This could have been that 2 quarters ago. The guys from Lee folded up their tent and went home. Maybe they didn't go home, but they had gone home. And they have not done that. There's been no point, even now to this shortened fourth quarter, in which you look and you say Ashby or Sissom or Burnett or any of these. No, what we're done. Everybody else.
I think start thinking you want to continue to play hard, but I don't think for 1 second it's not in coach's mind. Let's finish this strong because we're going to take this momentum into the game beyond this one.
What Coach Brown's got to do, coming out of this is, every coach, I heard or actually read some coaching notes a while back from Chuck Daly. Every coach is a salesman. You're selling your offense, you're selling your defense, you're selling your program. So when he goes back into that locker room, he's got to sell the fact you just played one of the best teams in America, okay? Forget about the scoreboard, okay, for a moment, and think about the plays that you did not make, and how can you, the next time that you step out onto the court, how do you make sure that you're able to make those plays the next time? Is that spending extra time on your jump shot? Is that spending extra time with your ball handling? Is that film session, on defensive rotations? Whatever the case may be, you've got to look at it as a learning opportunity.
It's a great point, Hemi, and you touched on it in your synopsis. Started Pebblebrook, did right versus Lee. Just even when Lee got what he wanted, we saw at least 2 to 3 layups and the minutes go in and out.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing they needed with the way Pebblebrook came out.
Great point. And a good little shuffle cut offense right there from Lee. Got the backdoor cut from Ashby. Ashby, you talk about activity. It's not just on the defensive end. One of the things that we track with our evaluations is, do you move without the basketball? Are you a threat to produce
good
when
pass.
you don't have the ball in your hands?
Good pass. Well, and that's an 8th grade assist in Kobe. So the future bright for Lee. Definitely not something, we've talked about Sissom, but outside of Sissom, most of the names that we've mentioned the majority of the night have been underclass guys who will be back for at least 1, if not 4 years with this group. So the future bright over there for Coach Brown.
There's Alexander with another 3-pointer.
Long rebound, Lee keeps possession.
Oh, nice split there.
Malik Burnett. Hey, guys got that last name. Give him the benefit of the doubt, fellas.
He probably comes from good stock, man, if it's the last name Burnett.
Another 3-ball on the way.
Well, GHSA rules regulate that if it's, I believe, over 30 points going into the fourth quarter, that they shorten the fourth quarter up by 2 minutes. So just a 6-minute quarter here in this fourth quarter. And
well, you see Lee here making a little dig just in terms of wave to wave, man, getting these young guys some playing experience, getting them an opportunity. I'm sure a couple of them didn't get great minutes last night in that close win over Hazel Green. So getting some guys an opportunity to be able to play, get some varsity minutes early in the season.
This is one of those games that if you're a tournament director, you don't want to see it. You want.
Speaking of, where point game, the guy I worked for in college at Lipscomb University, Don Meyer, always talked about trash time.
No question.
If you're a young kid getting an opportunity to play 2 minutes in a 30-point blowout, or whatever it is, if you're up 30, you're down, every chance out there on the court to get better.
Yep.
Don't take any of these opportunities for granted.
Well, it's great because all these guys practice the same amount of time. varsity practice-wise. The practice isn't any different for the guys at the end of the bench than it is for the guys at the beginning. And you see the nice reverse finish there from Edward Cunningham. Some of these guys, especially in the case of a Pebblebrook, you look at the amount of seniors that will be graduating. A guy like Edward Cunningham very well could wind up in the rotation next year. So it's important for them to get him these minutes and for him to get some film where they can go back and be able to break down strengths and weaknesses during the course of the season to help him continue to grow as a player.
I remember from my days of coaching, breaking down film, and one of the things that I was very meticulous at was statting games. I did not trust anybody else to do my stats because I wanted it accurate and I wanted it done my way. But, even these, the last 2 minutes of these games, it gives you an opportunity as a coach to, examine, some tendencies or even some flaws or even some strengths, for that matter. You get a kid that doesn't have a lot of minutes, but he comes in and, gives a spark, and you say, well, maybe I should be giving that kid, a few more minutes.
Nice finish right there. I like Douglas, another young kid, sophomore here for Lee Huntsville. You talk about finding some energy guys. Ashby is a guy who stuck out tonight for Lee during the course of the season. I think he's played his way into some minutes here with his performance today. So who else can come out in these types of games and find their way into some minutes? Is it a kid like Fulton who hit those early shots for Pebblebrook? Does he now become a guy? Hey, man, anytime we need a spark, we know we can go right here to this guy and get us a little energy. Same with Alexander.
Good on Owen. For this game, net being you are, and then Hemi will have you touch base up to the table.
Well, with North Gwinnett, they're going to be without the services. That's all we had to report there on that one. That's a guy that already has multiple Division I offers. So anytime you lose that guy, Garner Webb, Louisiana Tech, have seen something in him to offer, you don't want to lose that guy. That's going to fall on the shoulders now of Cameron Calhoun and the rest of the crew. And this is a new look North team. You look at Ahmad Caver, who's committed to Old Dominion, who's taking a prep school year this year, who's gone. Nice move there by Kobe Brown, the skill set. And this is it, but the handle, though, I like it, the big young 8th grader out there. So I think North Gwinnett has the tools to be good. I do think that this is a night where Zach's going to learn a lot about his team. They're playing a really competitive Siegel team, and they're playing them without arguably the premier kid on their team who's going to be out for maybe an extended period of time right now, Marcus, maybe throughout the duration of this Jared Cook Classic. So North's going to have to find out how to regroup and rebound quickly and still be able to come out here and have 3 good performances as the host team of the event.
And touching on Siegel, from the Murfreesboro area, Marcus, young team, only 2 seniors, on the squad. Tough loss last night, and I don't know if it was in overtime, but they lost to
they lost to Cane Ridge. Yep.
So they're coming off of that and made the trip up last night. One particular player that we've got our eye on is Omar Lyons. We had a chance to see him at the CoachHemi.com fall workout back in October at Wilson Central. Unfortunately, he's got the flu. Father that may or may not be playing, but he was very high on the rest of the squad. Like we said, a lot of good young players. So you mentioned Malik Carter being out of the lineup tonight. These early season matchups here. Sometimes you've got to get a groove and a rhythm, which isn't there yet.
Well, we hope Lions have stayed hydrated and kept the fluids. You never know, man. Sometimes having the flu going into a game can turn out to a monster for performance.
That's awesome, man. Well, either way, I'm excited about it. Should be 2 good teams. Obviously, the tradition of a Siegel bank shot for the youngster Brown.
Oh, look out.
Ball coming. Great save there by the clock keeper. Just saved my life. I appreciate that. Jersey, you're going to get that.
The flush there. as Pebblebrook takes home the victory here on SUVtv. We appreciate you joining us. Until next time, any gym is home, right, fellas?
You already know.